Crypto's Wild West days in Europe are ending. MiCA is the new rulebook that will decide who scales, who stalls, and who gets shut out of the EU market. By the end of this topic, you'll see how MiCA can either constrain you or become a powerful strategic asset. In crypto's early years, the market felt like a high-speed casino: explosive growth, fragile stablecoins, collapsing exchanges, and different rules in every country. The EU stepped in because innovation was soaring, but so was consumer harm and systemic risk. MiCA responds with one directly applicable EU rulebook. It replaces a messy patchwork of 27 national regimes with a single framework. It covers crypto assets that sit outside MiFID securities, and its aim is not to kill innovation, but to build the infrastructure that serious, scalable players can rely on. At its core, MiCA is designed to create trust. Regulators pull three main levers. First, consumer protection. Real disclosure through white papers and liability, so retail users aren't flying blind. Second, market integrity. A crackdown on insider games, manipulation, and pump-and-dump behavior. Third, innovation with certainty. A clear, predictable rulebook so long-term capital can enter, stay, and grow. To do this, MiCA draws a clear perimeter. Inside are most utility tokens, payment tokens, and stablecoins, plus key crypto asset service providers like exchanges, custodians, and advisors. Outside sit instruments already treated as securities, genuinely unique NFTs, fully decentralized DeFi, and central bank digital currencies. For leaders, that boundary is critical. It tells you when MiCA is your main rulebook and when another regime is in charge. The first big mental model in MiCA is simple. Every token must live in a bucket. If it mirrors one official currency, it's treated like digital money. Think a euro stablecoin with strong redemption rights. If it references a basket of assets, it becomes an asset reference token, with tougher reserve and governance rules. Everything else falls into other crypto assets where the emphasis is on honest, complete white paper disclosure. Under MiCA, labels don't matter, activities do. If you operate trading, custody, or exchange services, regulators treat you as a CASP. That status triggers licensing, ongoing supervision, and, once you reach real scale, a stricter, significant CASP regime. EU passporting is MiCA's built-in growth engine. Instead of negotiating 27 separate licenses, you authorize once and can then scale across the entire union. One compliance investment, one core platform, and access to hundreds of millions of customers, without rebuilding your business country by country. In this environment, a white paper stops being a marketing brochure and becomes a legal promise. Think of it as a mini prospectus. Regulators and investors will treat it as the single source of truth about your token. It must be complete, accurate, and published before any offer. If investors can show they relied on misleading statements in it, you as issuer can be held financially liable for their losses. MiCA doesn't just license businesses, it also shapes how markets behave. It imports classic market abuse rules into crypto. No insider dealing, no price manipulation games, no leaking of privileged information. As leaders, you're expected to spot suspicious patterns early, escalate them, and help keep your markets clean, rather than waiting for regulators to intervene. Stablecoins are where MiCA turns the dial up. The EU views them as close to money, so the focus is on monetary sovereignty as much as technology. Large stablecoin issuers must hold safe reserves, guarantee one-to-one redemption, and accept intensive, ongoing supervision from EU banking regulators. MiCA may be your core rulebook, but it never stands alone. Around it, other regimes shape day-to-day operations. AMLA rules and the travel rule define who you can deal with and how funds move. DORA sets expectations for technology resilience and incident response. SG requirements push you to measure and disclose environmental impact. Strong strategy connects all of these into one coherent compliance story. MiCA is no longer a future concept, it's phasing in now. Stablecoin issuers are already under scrutiny. CASP rules arrive next, and then the focus shifts from guidance to hard enforcement. The key leadership question is timing. Do you use the transitional period to shape your roadmap, licenses, and governance? Or wait and risk being pushed into rushed defensive compliance later? Beyond Europe, MiCA is becoming a reference model. That's the Brussels effect in action. Global regulators are watching and often borrowing. If you're MiCA ready, you signal reliability to banks and institutional investors, and position your company as the regulated alternative to offshore speculative players. MiCA closes crypto's Wild West chapter and moves you into the role of regulated CEO. The new game is clear: harmonized rules, EU-wide access, real responsibility. When you treat compliance as core product infrastructure, it becomes your strongest trust signal and your license to create lasting value.